What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another urgent and important episode of Turning Pro on the Active Life Podcast. I'm Dr. Sean Pastuch. I'm your host. I'm your guide today, and we're going to be talking about how you can learn the most valuable lessons that are going to come from this hysteria in the moment, instead of having to wait 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years to be able to look back and say, wow, that was one of the greatest opportunities of my life. Now, I know what you're thinking. Dr. Sean, you're either tone deaf, ignorant to what's going on, or you've lost your mind if you believe that what we're going through right now is a great opportunity. People are dying. People are sick. People are scared. People are losing their jobs. And I tell you that I'm aware of all of those things. And I'm empathetic to all of those things. I run a company that helps keep gym owners and coaches evolving to become the maximum version of their potential that they possibly can. Become the healthcare clinic of the future, the healthcare provider of the future, and maximize their income while they maximize their impact. I own another business that's helping people get out of pain from anywhere in the world without going to the doctor or missing out on their active lifestyles. Both of those businesses right now are requiring massive utilization of all of the skills and all of the hands on deck that we have to make sure that we are delivering an ample amount of support to our clients. We are working double to even triple as hard as we work during a regular time period so that we can provide a higher level of service to our clients, because we know how uncertain and how scary this time is. And that leads me to how to learn the lesson in the moment. How to learn the lesson in the moment. The first lesson I want you guys to take from all of this is what absolutely needs to be done. What absolutely needs to be done. I promise you, if you guys audit the amount of time that you're spending doing things that do not move the needle for you, you would be appalled. So, for example, how many things are you doing that are keeping you busy but are not changing your business? How many classes are you randomly adding to the schedule during the regular times, not during pandemic time, that you don't have an action plan to fill or monetize? How many additional programs are you offering at your gym just because you think it makes it sticky for you guys to have a nutrition program that you don't charge enough money for or you can't get people into? What are the things that you're doing day to day that is not moving the needle that you can get rid of? Because I can tell you right now, the amount of content, the amount of productivity, the amount of procedures that we are throwing together at Active Life right now is at a pace that is probably 5x what we do on a typical day-to-day basis. What does that tell me? We're wasting a lot of time on a typical day-to-day basis. That's the lesson that I learned right away. Right away. It's wow. When our backs are against the wall, we can do a lot of stuff. So here is something that I learned a while back from one of my mentors that you guys can do now and when this is over. It's called the unsustainable week. I think we would all agree that what we're going through right now is fairly unsustainable. This is something that we're going to be able to do for 2 weeks, 4 weeks maybe, and then everything is going to have to change again. Despite the fact that it's already so different than what we're used to, it's going to have to change again, because what's going to get you through this first 2 to 4 weeks is not going to be what's going to get you through the next 2 to 4 weeks. It's just not sustainable. And we'll figure out what those new things are when the time is appropriate. But I'm asking you guys to take the lesson that you're learning now, to understand that you're able to do things right now for a short period of time that frankly are unsustainable for a long period of time, and take this experience into when the world comes back to normal again. Remember that you got through this. And when the world comes back to normal again, I want you to schedule what we call the unsustainable week. The unsustainable week is when you are going to take everything in your life that does not directly move the needle in your business, and you're going to neglect it for the week. Yeah. You're going to neglect everything in your life for the week. What I mean by that is maybe you like to read recreationally and it relaxes you. You don't get to do that during this week. Maybe you like to work out for 2 hours a day. You don't get to do that during this week, maybe 30 minutes. You like to wind down and watch TV at the end of the night. You don't get to do that during this week. This week is all based around you building out the things that need to be built out that should take 2, 3, 4 months, and I want you to get it done in 1 week. Your back is against the wall right now. You're seeing what you can do. You're going to be able to do so much more than you ever thought after this is over. So lesson number 1, when your back is against the wall, you can do far more than you expected that you could do. Some of it is sustainable, some of it is not. But the gap between what you're doing and what you're capable of doing is larger than you believe. You're busy, you're not productive. So when this is all over, I want you to remember what you were able to do during this time, schedule an unsustainable week, and do it. You will be amazed what comes out of that week. The amount of changes and improvements into your business will be unheard of for you. The second lesson that I want you to learn during this: who can you count on? What I mean by that is we all have friends and family and mentors and businesses and all kinds of relationships that we want to keep in our lives. And some of them we love and some of them frustrate us. It's just the nature of the beast. The reason why many of these relationships will frustrate you is because you have expectations for what that relationship is going to look like, the things that that other person is going to do, the things that that business is going to provide. And those expectations are out of alignment with reality. It's like when you had the boyfriend or girlfriend in high school or college, and they were amazing except for this one thing that they always did. You know, Sandy is so awesome. She just chews like a fucking cow. I can't eat around her. I can't bring her around my friends. You guys know what I'm talking about here. Stop trying to change the way that Sandy chews and understand that's how Sandy chews. She's either going to be your girlfriend or she's not, but you're not going to change that thing about her. So who can you count on to do what during times like this? Those are going to be the people who you can count on to do things in easier times. And it doesn't mean cut people out of your life. No, it means understand what the role that each of these people in your life plays is. That's all. I remember when my condo building that I was living in got flooded during Hurricane Sandy. I know exactly who came over to break apart the floorboards and cut the wall out for me, with me. I remember exactly who came to the gym that got destroyed to help us clean it out. I remember exactly who called, who texted, who sent gifts, who sent cards, who offered their help and time. Now, sure, there's some of me that remembers the people who didn't, but it's more about remembering the people who did and giving the people who didn't another opportunity to maybe try in the future, but to focus on the people who did. So during this time, learn the lesson: who can you count on? The third and final lesson that I want you to learn during this time of uncertainty, is: were you able to hold it together? Are you losing it? And I'm asking you, if you're losing it, to learn the lesson of how to hold it together. That might seem totally esoteric and, abstract. So, Dr. Sean, how am I supposed to learn how to hold it together? And so I challenge you with this. All you need to do is all you need to do. Anxiety is the anticipation of future pain. Why anticipate future pain that's completely uncertain? Why visualize the negative that may not even occur? Here's what I recommend you do to help yourself start to deal with it. I want you to stop suppressing all of those anxieties that you have, all of those fears that you have. And I want you instead to take out a notebook. And I want you on the top of each page to write down the fears that you have. Fear number 1, for example, my gym is going to go out of business. Fear number 2, I'm going to lose my house. Fear number 3, I'm going to go into debt. All of those things. I want you to write each of them down on their own sheet of paper. Then what I want you to do is I want you to write underneath that with space between them. Excuse me, I'm here by myself today. I want you to write all of the signs that would demonstrate to you that this is about to happen. So, for example, prior to you going out of business, what would have to be true for you to go out of business? You're not going to go out of business if all of your members, for example, continue paying you the standard rate. You're not going to go out of business if you continue to pay your coaches if all of your members are paying you. So, and you can even pay your rent. If everybody is still paying you, if nothing changes, then everything is fine. So what I want you to do is work backwards. What is the thing that believe you know, would put you out of business? Okay. If we went down to 70% of the income that we're currently making, we would go out of business if we kept our expenses where they are. Great. If you went to that spot, what would you need to do to make it so that you are not going to go out of business? What are the things that maybe you need to cut? What are the things you need to ask for? How do you make sure that that's not going to happen? Great. Now, let's go down the line again. What would happen before that happened? So 70% membership means that we have to close. Okay. Well, before you get to 70% membership, you're going to be at 90% membership, 80%, 85, 75, right? So what are you going to do when the gym gets to, let's say, for example, 80% membership if you're losing members? What happens at the 80% membership number? What lever gets pulled and what actions go into play to make sure that either A, you stop losing members, B, existing members who are continuing to pay the bills are able to get more value from you so that they can either A, pay you even more, or B, continue paying you? What are you going to do when it gets to a different number, and set yourself up so that when we lose the first member, this is what we're going to do. When we've lost 5 members, this is what we would do. When we've lost 15 members, this is what we would do. 25, 30, 50, etc., on and on and on and on. All the way until you're having to call your landlord potentially and say, look, I can't afford rent right now because this, and this is happening. How do we set up that repayment plan that we already talked about ahead of time? The reason why having a plan like this becomes so valuable for each of the things that you fear is because it takes away so much of the uncertainty. You don't have to think on the fly about what would I do in the moment because you've already written down what you would do in the moment when that moment comes. And you wrote it down during a time when you had clarity and peace of mind. Now, understand that there are going to be pivots that you're going to make if it actually gets to those points because things are not going to happen the way you wrote them on paper. But you'll have the framework. So you can start to reduce for yourself much of the anxiety, much of the fear. And you can start to depend on yourself and get yourself through times like this by doing something as simple as strategizing what is the worst case scenario in each of these fears. What are the warning signs that we are heading towards that worst case scenario? And what are the action steps that I can take when each of the warning signs show up to ensure that we don't get to the next one, that we avoid the next one? If you do this, I promise you 2 things will happen. Number 1, you will feel the ability to finally go, again. Number 2, you will be far more effective if things start to happen that you fear right now. And lastly, the calm that you get from making this list, from building this plan, these plans, will allow you to think progressively, to not only look at how to offset your downside, but will allow you to look at what can I do to increase my upside? And your upside might not be big during a time like this, but this will end. This will end. And when it ends, what can you do that you learned during this time that if it worked during the worst of times, imagine how well it's going to work during the best of times. That's what I got for you guys today. I hope this was helpful. If you're enjoying this stuff, guys, I know that this is a time when we have a lot going on. I'm asking you a small favor. Share this podcast. Review this podcast. Make sure other people who need this kind of information have access to it. Turn Pro. All right, that's going to be a wrap for this episode of the Active Life Podcast. And guys, remember, if you are looking to enhance your fitness business, if you're sitting there thinking, man, I would love to be able to go on vacations. I would love to be able to take 2 weeks off and not have my business fall apart. And most importantly, if you want to be a part of the movement that we are creating, facilitating, and seeing come to life, which is coaches and gyms becoming the healthcare clinic of the future, helping people who've gotten hurt working out, helping people who've been told they have to work out around that, having people be told they're too old to do that, find new hobbies. If hearing things like that for your clients is frustrating for you and you want to learn the skills to solve those problems and also get paid very well to do it, head to activelifeprofessional.com and let's get talking. Till then, turn pro.